Right, welcome to another Hog Out. We've got plenty to talk about. India taking on England last night in Kolkata in a T20 match. And England were a no-show. India were just too good. And they didn't have their trump cards there with Shami and Boomer as well. And we can talk about other things. Champion trophy squads. We've got a special guest on as well, a fan favourite. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Hey, AK, have you got a little highlight there quickly? Well, lucky AK went back to that little promo there because I was just adjusting a few things, just nearly got caught on camera. That's what happens when you're on live YouTube. But anyway, England taking on India last night over in India, our Kolkata, lost by 7 wickets. India were too good. Let's have a quick look at India's scorecard last night. I must say it looks dismal. Apart from Butler there, he was sensational with his 50-odd, but the other England batsmen were just a no-show. They couldn't handle the conditions and the bowlers of India. And then we look at the quick bowling card of India. Singh was just brilliant with the new ball, getting it to swing both ways. He had salt all over the shop in the first 2 balls, and that's what you need in T20 cricket is a bowler, especially a left-arm bowler, who can swing the ball both ways, and that's where he's dynamite. And when they have Shami and Boomer alongside him, this is a potent attack because then you look down the list, it's all spin, spin, spin. They've got other bowlers like Kuldeep Yadav to come in. Jadeja, where are they going to fit when you've got the likes of Varun with his mystery spin, Patel just with his good line and length, and also his middle order batting, and Bishnoi, who's really coming of age with his leg spin. But just look at the quality bowling there. It's not just the wickets on the right-hand column. It is the economy rates of the spinners in the middle order. And Hardik Pandya there, yes, he went for 42, but remember, he's a medium pacer. He's an all-rounder. They wanted to have a little bit of extra batting depth last night, and he was put under pressure. But he picked up 2 crucial wickets, and I just like his all-round ability. You need someone like him in the lineup. Now, let's have a quick look at India's batting lineup. I just really love the way that Sanju Samson took Gus Atkinson apart in the second over of the match. He was awesome. And then all of a sudden, Abhishek Sharma was able to take it away after that. Sky getting out for a duck, taking on the slower ball of Josh Arafa, but that's the way that he goes about it. Every now and then he's going to get out for a small total, and every now and then it's going to come off. And Tilak Varma is a player that I absolutely love it, and I think he's going to be a future captain of India, Tilak Varma, in this shorter form of the game. He's very smart. Got a very good cricket brain. Okay, we've got some highlights from last night before we get into some questions from the guests that I've got on. Varun Chakaravarthy, I just love the mystery spin last night, getting Harry Brook out the way he did, just with a wrong, and Harry Brook had no idea. And then wasn't too long after that, Livingston, just big gap between bat and pad with another wrong, and knew it was coming but didn't pick it, and bang, bowled, and those 2 wickets were crucial, and India just couldn't recover after that. And that's one thing with England. If you look at their lineup, it's only really Butler and Salt that can really or have good stats against spin. Other than that, that list is struggling against spin, and when you're over in the subcontinent, if you can't play spin, you're going to struggle. So the likes of Brook, Livingston, Overton down the bottom there, they really have to lift their game against spin if England are going to have any chance of getting back into this contest. Salt and Duckett up the top of the order. Salt, he's got a good record against spin, but if he doesn't last too long, well, he can't help Butler in those middle overs. Now, Bethel's only just new to the international scene, and what I've seen, he can handle spin, but a little bit of extra pace, I think he might struggle with. Now, we've got one more highlight that we want to talk about, or 2 more highlights. Abhishek Sharma, 79 runs. And I watched an interview of him after the particular innings last night. Yes, he's had a few times where he's missed out. And it's good that he's got the backing of the coach and captain, because in T20 cricket, especially when you're batting at the top of the order and you bat like Abhishek Sharma and they want him to express himself, they want him to go after the bowling, you are going to get out for low scores. You are going to get out cheaply, because every now and then the ball's going to do a little bit, and you just can't control. That moment. You've just got to back yourself. You've got to have belief, and that's what Abhishek Sharma does, and that's what I really love about his batting. So keep it going, Abhishek Sharma. Any more highlights there? Okay, can you get one up or not? Oh, we've got to talk about another Englishman, Josh Buttler, 68 last night. He was unbelievable against pace and spin, just the way that he's able to play late, time his innings, and then under pressure while wickets are falling all around him, he's able to handle that pressure and get England to a reasonable score of around that 130 mark, where they had a chance of defending, but they just didn't have the bowling last night. They didn't have a bowler that was able to swing the ball, and their spin department last night just weren't able to hit the right areas. And also, they were a little bit too slow on that Kolkata wicket. So let's get rid of the game last night, because India were too good, and all the Indian fans out there that are listening, they would have enjoyed that. And we've got a few people coming on. Before we get Chinnappa on, when Chinna gets up, just remember too, before Chinnappa gets up here, if you want to join me on my live show, fill out that Google form, and you can get on here and have a chat with me. Now, Chinnappa, trying to wait for you to get up. June. Hi, Hoggy. Spinners in the team show got to the minds of the English than the actual pitch. Why England are obsessed with pace? Are they lacking good left arm swing bowler? June, they are lacking a good left arm swing bowler, definitely. If you look at the best T20 teams around the globe, actually the best one-day teams and the best test teams, you need a left arm pacer up front who can swing the ball both ways. And that's what I like about Arshdeep Singh. And England, sometimes they just overthink it. They want to play this baseball type game. They want to go after it. And yes, they are obsessed with pace. They really need to look for some quality spinners, especially now that Rashid's coming to the end of his career. Now, okay, have we got Chinnappa up there? Here we go. Chinnappa, how are you going?
Going good. Brad? How about you? How are
I'm
you
going
doing?
very well. Now, you're all the way over there in America, and there is a huge fan base of cricket in America.
Mhm.
It's a little bit
Yes,
cold over there, isn't it?
right. Yes, this week
Yeah.
it has been a lot colder. Yeah.
Yep. A little bit of
Mhm.
snow there right now.
Yes, yes, yeah. We got some snow this week. Yeah, it's good to see. We don't get usually, but yeah, this year we have got plenty of snow. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I might send you my beanie over there to help you out too. My little
All
beanie
right.
up here. But anyway, mate, can you get through your questions? What's your first question, please?
Okay. Here are my questions.
Yep.
I know the T20 team was good. I mean, the T20 game was great, good, but my questions are slightly different.
Yep.
You know, my first question is: should India go for completely different teams for Tests and white ball to succeed across formats?
Well, look, they've got plenty of depth to be able to do that. And you're looking at the T20 team that they've got on the park right now, beating England, annihilating England, actually. And England have probably got their best team on the park, except for probably lacking one or two bowlers. So for me, India's depth, that they can afford to be able to chop and change their test team and white ball team. But as you move along, someone like a Jaswal or a Shubman Gill, I think that those two players are the type of players that are able to play all formats. And then you've also got Boomer as well and Shami.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at both Boomer and Shami, they're a little bit different to the batters. You want to look at those two and think, right, how long has Shami got left in his career? Can we get another couple of years out of him for a couple of World Cups in both 50 over and T20 cricket? If so, shall we avoid playing him in Test cricket moving forward, just to have a little bit more longevity of his pace and skill, the way that he moves the ball with the new ball and his death bowling in the white ball format. So that's something that I'd look at if I was India, and look out the bowlers that they had over in Australia. I think those bowlers over there, Krishna was sensational. Rana was sensational. And Akash Deep, yep, that's the one. Avish, yeah, Akash Deep. I've got the right one there yet. There's a few deeps and Akashas and all that. I thought those three have a lot of upside moving forward in the longer form of the game. So with that depth, try and get those three up and ready to play Test cricket. Then you can rest Boomer a little bit more so that he can play all formats. Then you can have Shami concentrating in white ball format. And then as those guys mature, then as Shami comes into retirement, then one or two of those bowlers can go into the 2020 format or the white ball format, and then you bring another pace bowler, a young pace bowler through to cover the void in Test cricket. So I totally agree with you. India can have different teams for different formats, and they've already got that with the spin. They've got different spin for Tests and different spin in the T20 game, and you've got Hardik Pandya, who they're just concentrating in the short form now. I don't think he'll play Test cricket again. Yep, I think India can do that. And that's the problem for Australia. I don't think we have that depth. And England, do they have that depth as well? They're trying it out at the moment, but I think they're trying too many things. And I think they've got a lot of first-class cricketers over there that have been putting big runs on the board in first-class cricket that probably should be playing Test cricket in front of the likes of Bethel, who they just picked out as a talented player who hasn't really got a big record. So India at the moment are leading world cricket.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Probably they have to, as you said, they have to phase out, and plan for, the players coming in and the players going out, and, and some of these key players can be used across formats. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think if we go a little step further there, and people can comment if they want as well. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, I think if I was the coach and support staff there in the BCCI, I'd be sort of sitting there, okay, guys, where do you want to end your career? How would you like to end your career? Are they right for the shorter format of the game? Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, are they playing the game that T20 cricket's got on offer now? Do they have to go with younger blood who probably is scoring quicker and having better averages as well? If so, what about you to concentrate on your test game, play that a little longer, and Virat Kohli's got a few records to break there, and concentrate on the youth in the shorter format. And then all of a sudden, those guys aren't chopping and changing from the different formats. That's something that I'd look at.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So ready for my second question?
Oh, I'm a little bit nervous. No. No, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Virat Kohli's batting. So wanted to ask this to you. So as adjusting to different formats and finding success across formats brought decline in Kohli's batting in tests.
Yep. Has it brought a decline in Virat Kohli's tests? I think it's probably more the volume of cricket that's being played out at the present moment, because you're trying to play as much as you can for India in all three formats. And then you've got the IPL, and the IPL's extended for a week or two as well. So there's a lot of pressure there as well, because owners are spending big money on players in the IPL. And Virat Kohli is the lead player at RCB. So there's a lot of pressure on him there. And then all of a sudden, he's got a family now. He's got other commitments off field that he didn't have when he was really dominating all three formats around the globe. So it's just not about the cricket. It's what's happening off the field as well. And with the new rules that the BCCI have brought in with in regards to families, that's even going to put more stress on Virat Kohli and his wife and family as well, because you've got to have that balance. I think players should be able to have their families on tour as much as possible, especially with the amount of cricket and the amount of travel that India have out at the present moment. I think the problems with India over in Australia weren't so much with the families around. It was more the culture that's been built up within the rooms with the new coach and so forth. Now, when you have the change of coach, sometimes it's a smooth transition. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And Gautam Gambhir has got his own way about him. He does it a little bit differently to the previous coaches. So if he can just sit back, relax a little bit more and try and build the culture within, rather than trying to put these strict rules from the outside, which is going to put pressure on players as well, both out with family commitments as well as sponsored commitments as well. It might affect their performances. So I think it's more the dramas off field than on field for Virat Kohli. I just think he's got too much on his plate, and that's probably causing him to not perform as well as he is at the moment. But at the end of the day, he's been a legend of a cricketer over such a long period of time. He captained India. He's got a successful record, and you've got to appreciate all that as well. And you've just got to appreciate that your life's values change, especially when you have a family. Cricket's only a short part of your life, whereas your family you want there for a long period of time. So there's other things there that you can really look at. So that's a really good question. It's not so much his preparation or anything like that. I think it's more the other commitments that he's got on that's really affecting him. And that's a really good question, and it's a great topic that I'd like to venture into a lot more down the path.
Because if you see the top batters, across other nations like Smith, Stephen Smith and Joe Root, and Kane Williamson, they are more successful in tests. But whereas when it comes to shorter formats, they are not that successful. But Virat Kohli, on the other hand, he has been successful across formats. But that need to adjusting to those formats might have affected his tests, the way because you've seen his problem with the offside, whenever the offside, he gets out by the edging the offside deliveries. And Australia has got that. This series, it was full of that. So that's why I was just thinking that whether if that is actually affecting him. But of course, off field stuffs as well, it's affecting him, of course. His workload and so many things going on in his life. Yes, that's right.
And you brought up a good point there within Australia. There, he got outside off stump a number of times. And that last Test match, I think it was the last innings where he was really wanting to take that moment and try and get India back in the contest. And he got out and he was chastising himself as he went off. Why did I chase that? Why did I chase that? You could tell that he was trying to work to leave it. And I think if you look at Virat Kohli when he was a lot younger, he would have been able to practice that a lot longer in the nets. And as he's playing more T20 cricket, more one-day cricket, and he's chasing those balls outside off stump on a flatter wickets, it's hard to get into that Test arena and then all of a sudden pull out of it. So there was, I think there was something mentally affecting him there, where he's fighting himself to leave the ball rather than look to score. If you look at Virat Kohli, when he's looking to score, he's getting in good positions. But if the ball's not there to score, he leaves it at the last instant. Whereas in this particular series, he wasn't able to do that. So that was a good point. I'm just going to have a quick look down here. Anna Palmer's got on before you ask your next question. With Cummins and Boomer's injury status still unclear, are Australia and India taking high risk picking them for the Champions Trophy, especially with big test assignments looming for both teams? I think both teams will be watching them very closely. if they're fully fit, they will play the Champions Trophy. But if I was both teams, I wouldn't really be putting a high priority on the Champions Trophy. I don't think it's something that you really, it's nice to have in the trophy cabinet, but it's not something it's not a big trophy that you want in that trophy cabinet. It's either the 2 World Cups or the World Test Championship. The Champions Trophy, no. So for me, Anupam, I would definitely rest both players. What do you say, Chinappa? Do you believe me, or do you agree with me? Should I say, believe me? Agree with me?
Yeah, Champions Trophy, just a few matches.
Yep.
I think, but the stress that it can bring in is a lot, tremendous.
Yeah.
When they play these matches, because
Yep.
it's still ICC tournament, and Cummins will be the captain, and Bumrah,
Yep.
he'll be the key bowler. So I don't think it would affect a lot if these players are rested, for Champions
Yeah.
Trophy. That's what I feel, because it's not a lot of games, and it's just because the result could turn in just one match. The
Yeah.
the result of the any teams could just turn in one match itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I
Exactly
feel.
right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
I
I
right.
totally agree
Yeah,
with you.
you're right. You're right. So I think these key players can be rested, for Champions Trophy. That's my feeling.
Yep. Spot on. All right. What's your next question, please, Chinappa?
Okay, my next question, is about again Test cricket. So, what is the future of Test cricket 20 years from now? With
Yeah.
all these T20 leagues around the world, there are so many T20 leagues keeps coming up.
Yep.
But Test cricket, I know the amount of Test cricket being played is less nowadays. But what will it be like 20 years from now? Uh, where do you see
20
Test
years
cricket?
from now, that
Mm,
that that is a long time away now, and the world is changing so quickly. You're in IT, aren't you?
mm,
So IT just changes year by
yeah.
year. You've got to keep on top of it. Even the law, even government policies, the taxation around the place, it keeps changing, chopping and changing. And I think cricket's in the same space. But for me, Ravi Shastri made a comment that we should have a tiered system in the Test game. I think we need to do that. Not big noting anything, but I put something out there about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, that we should have a tiered system in Test cricket because most of the money is coming from England, India, and Australia
Mhm.
with their games. But the only problem is, if you look at the World Test Championship ladder right now, England probably wouldn't even fit in the top 6.
Mm, mm.
So with that, you're not. If you have the tiered system, you won't have those two teams playing against each other, which would be a huge problem and a big financial loss. And if you say, well, these guys make the most money, but
Mm,
number 6 on a tiered system goes down to the second tier because they need England in that tier system. That country is not getting its just desserts because they deserve to be in that top tier. So there's huge questions to be asked, should I say, and
mm.
challenges to keep the Test game going. South Africa getting in the World Test Championship final, I think that is absolutely sensational. Everyone can complain that they only played or they played less games than every other team, but at the end of the day, that's all they can afford to play. Trying to
Mhm.
play
Right.
Test cricket in South Africa at the moment, with the way the world is at the moment, is a cost burden because that they're not getting the attractiveness on the TV. So the market for the game over there for advertising rights is
Mm.
causing a little bit of a burden on their financial paper.
Yeah.
But they've worked hard to get there. And if they beat Australia, well and good, and that they deserve it. So, we've got issues of some teams playing a lot more cricket than other teams.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's all over the shop at the moment. But I think in about 5 years' time, um, I think Test cricket in certain nations probably will drop off, and there'll
Mm.
be more concentration on the shorter form of the game, which is a bit of a worry because I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah.
But then you've got to look out, what does the next generation of supporters want? What are the next generations of cricketers going to play? So sometimes you just got to move with the times and avoid attachment as such. So
Yeah.
whatever's required in that particular time, the decision that needs to be made, we've got to make that decision and move forward. And if that means that Test cricket goes, well, Test cricket has to go. I think the other issue with Test cricket as well, and having all three forms of the game, is you've got Boomer and Cummins, who are both injured, from
Right.
Anupam's question beforehand. The workload on fast bowlers is phenomenal. They're going from an endurance sport in Test cricket, where they've got to bowl a lot of overs day after day, to a power sport in the T20 game, where they're expected to bowl pace for 4 overs as quick as they can for those particular 4 overs. So the strain on the body to go from one extreme to the other, I don't think there's too many athletes or sports out there that you see that extremity of on a particular athlete. And that's why we're getting so many injuries with fast bowlers. So that's something else that we've got to watch as well. So can the game, can Test cricket survive, knowing that we might lose out with fast bowlers moving forward as well, because fast bowlers are so special in the Test game as well. So there's so many questions. It's just not a question where you can say, oh well, Test cricket's going to survive. Well, there's so many different parts of the game that you really have to look at. Because if you can't have fast bowlers, quality fast bowlers like Cummins and Boomer at our Test level, well, the game, the spectacle just drops right off.
Right.
So we've
Exactly.
got to be careful with all that. Yeah. So 20 years is a bit too far out, but I reckon in about I'd say 5 years, but I'll give it 10 years. That there will only be 4 or 5 countries playing Test cricket.
Yeah, yeah. I would not like Test cricket to fade away. I would like at least 6 to 8 teams still competing. You know, Test cricket. I know right now at the moment only Border Gavaskar Trophy and Ashes. These are the competitive Test series being played. But I think there should be more competitive Test cricket being played, because bilateral these are bilateral as well, but some competitiveness should be there in the test cricket, for with other countries as well playing, so I would like to see that. Mhm.
And I don't really want to. This is not to poke the bear or anything like that, but
Yeah.
politics, other things in the world, religion and so forth, whatever, different dynamics in the world shouldn't get in the way of sports. Sports there to bring countries together, to bring people together. If you look at Australia here, we're so multicultural. We've got Pakistan players, Sri Lankan players, Indian players, South African players, English players over here. We've got so many players playing in our backyard right now because of immigration and that. Everyone gets on. And I think the big one for Test cricket to really survive is getting India and Pakistan to play against each other.
Yeah.
You talk about India versus Australia, England versus Australia, England versus India. That would be another big one, which will really create a lot of interest. And we've got to find a way to be able to get that to happen, because we don't need Pakistan to be dropping off as well, because they're not playing high quality cricket in that regard. And I think if you have Pakistan, India there, I think Pakistan cricket would really improve, knowing that they could play against their neighbouring country, because in India and Australia, India in England, there's so many expats of Indians over there that it's getting a lot of interest over there. We need to help the other countries out. And I don't want to step on any feet there in the politics. That's not my realm. But we've got to find a way of allowing cricket to happen between those two nations. So, how many more questions have you got? Because I just want to make sure. Ruben. Yeah, because I've got one here from Ruben. As usual, India are kings of bilateral series, but when it comes to ICC World Cup tournaments, they will freeze and lose unnecessarily, as happened in the 2023 One-Day World Cup. Don't be too excited by this win. Well, Ruben, he's probably right there as such with that particular comment. I think when it comes to World Cup tournaments, there's always a little bit of luck because when you get to that final stage as well, or that back end stage, one loss can really put you out of the tournament. So it's a tough tournament. And the other thing with India as well, because of the luxury that they have so many players, they have a lot of depth. They're chopping and changing their white ball teams as well. So as Chinapa said earlier, India might be able to have a number of different teams, a test match team and a T20 team, and only have a small component of players that are playing all three formats. And it would only be a couple of bowlers and maybe one or two batters, but the rest are core players in that particular team. And I think when you do that with one format of the game, you create that depth. So for me, Jaswal and Jaswal's probably and Gill have got to play in the T20 format around the other guys. So that's the future of Indian cricket for me. And that's how I see it. So, Chinapa, have you got one more question or a couple more questions?
Yeah, I have just a couple more. Maybe we'll do it quickly.
Yep.
This is on Australia's. I like Australian cricket a lot, and I do
Yep.
follow. So on Australia's bowling. So I just felt this recently, and I've been thinking over this. The three biggies, Stark, Cummins, and Hazelwood, they have been dominating the bowling every format in the last 6 to 7 years. So
Yep.
what happens is this denies the chances for other good bowlers, right? Sean Abbott, and there are so many other bowlers who cannot play consistently, for the international games. So is this good for Australian cricket? How others can find chances in this?
I look, you can take it both ways. I think it's good for Australian cricket because it's making the bowlers underneath them work harder to get that opportunity. And when they do get that opportunity, they've got to be hungry for it and they've got to be switched on and take it. So for me, with that extra pressure, I think it adds good competition. And you look at the likes of Boland. Boland has absolutely been sensational when he's got his opportunity. He knows that Hazelwood is going to be the bowler that gets picked in front of him. But when Hazelwood's injured, he just takes his opportunity, enjoys it, and plays it as though it's going to be his last game. If Mitchell Stark gets injured, that's probably the area where Australia are lacking at the moment. We've got Spencer Johnson, who's quick, tall, but he hasn't played a lot of first-class cricket, which is a bit of a worry. So you can't bring him into the test arena. But then, so you haven't got that left arm option that's played a lot of first-class cricket. There's a guy called Paris as well. Berendorf's played a bit of first-class cricket, but they haven't got enough overs under their belt to be comfortable that they could play out a test series. So then you go someone like Nisa who could swing the ball to cover Mitchell Stark. But when you look at some young quicks that are coming through, there's Marley Beedman. So young Indians out there who are interested in Australian cricket, have a look at this young Beardman. I saw him in a BBL match the other night out Optus Stadium. He was quick, sharp, skiddy, accurate, had a good length delivery where he can move it slightly both ways. He has a good bouncer where he hits the nose really well, very accurate, and he's got a potent Yorker as well. And then there's another guy that I'm really liking from Adelaide Strikers. Is a guy called Thornton. He's got a bit of a slingy action, but there's a little bit of hope from those two particular bowlers in youth coming through. So I think Australia, at the moment in the bowling department, do have depth. I'm just a little bit more concerned probably in the depth of batting. And that's why in the Sri Lankan Test series that's coming up, I was actually hoping that Steve Smith's going to have a bit of a rest with an elbow injury to give an opportunity of another player to bat out number 4. just to start blooding the next generation of batters to come through to add that depth, because I think our middle order with Green, Bo Webster and Travis Head is solid. But our top 4, we need to make sure that we're giving more opportunities up there. Yeah. That's a good,
Okay.
Good question, Chinappa.
Yeah.
There's a few issues over here in Australia.
Okay. I will move on to the last question.
Yep.
For the sake of time. Uh, I've asked this before when I came online, but
Yep.
I did not go live. But I have asked you, this question before. But I wanted to get your input again. Why they don't use Ultra Edge in Australia for DRS, but
Yeah.
instead they use Snicko and Hotspot? What's the reason? Isn't Ultra Edge better than the other two?
Definitely. It's a bit of this. Bit of money, I
Because of
think.
money. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think you've got Ultra Edge, you've got Snicko. I think you don't want to overcomplicate it, or if you don't need that technology if you don't need the technology, you only need small parts of it. Go with it. You don't need every concept of the technology in there. I know that there are a couple of balls that came off gloves with the Indian batsmen that created a little bit of controversy. Would have Ultra Edge made a different decision in that? Who knows? We can't decipher that. If those edges came off the glove of 2 Australian batsmen, Indian supporters would have been happy with the decision in that regard. Australian supporters, probably some of them would have made a bit of comment. But at the end of the day, I'm quite comfortable with the Snicko and not having the Ultra Edge, because even sometimes the Ultra Edge can slightly get it wrong as well. Sometimes the technology fails, and I think technology in this regard probably failed on both occasions. When you've got a small little murmur on that Snicko, I think that's when you go to the benefit of the batsman. When you're looking at that little murmur, the murmur's got to be of a reasonable height on the graph to be able to say, right, well, he's definitely nicked it. You can't just have a little type scenario. It's got to be a type thing. Did you hear me on that one? Did you get the different? Murmurs on that.
Yeah.
So that's the way it is. Yeah. Are you happy with that answer?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
happy with the answer, but I was just wondering because Nico. Sometimes I saw in the BGT series, after it has passed the glove or in the bat, then I saw the edge, not
Yeah.
exactly at the same time. And
Yeah.
also Snicko is not so clear when it's a flat line. Also, it's not that clear. It's a little bit of I see some static.
Yeah.
Whereas Ultra Edge, it's when it is there is no any edge, then it is just flat. There is a flat line. There is no
Yeah.
any. So that's why I was preferring Ultra Edge over Snicko. So.
Yeah. Actually, we were lucky to have DRS over here in Australia because we had to pay for all the Indian families to be over here for the whole tour. That's a bit cheeky, isn't it? That's a bit cheeky. A little the new rules of the BCCI. Just having a quick little dab there. Pikachu. What's the time there? Pikachu. We're just going to answer a couple of questions here. You can pop in if you want, Chinappa. It's a different thing. The way they play T20 is ahead for the game, and they just win the WC. So they are the best T20 team out least, and currently no other team comes close to them. Yes, Pikachu. That's I'm presuming that you're talking about India there. I love the way they went against it last night. About it last night, and I think when it comes to the Champions Trophy as well, later on when they've got both Shami and Boomer playing with Arshdeep Singh swinging that new ball and the spinners in the middle, they are really going to control a lot of teams. And Anupam, I think we'll answer this last question. How would you rate the Melbourne Stars BBL season after their sensational turnaround, reminiscent of RCB's remarkable comeback in the last IPL season? Well, I thought their comeback was sensational. They didn't have Glenn Maxwell at the start, then Glenn Maxwell came in and absolutely turned it on. And if Steve Smith doesn't go to Sri Lanka, I think that the selectors might look at Maxwell and think we better take him over there for spin. But they don't need to win that tournament. I wouldn't take Maxwell over there. I'd take a younger player over there, as I said earlier, to try and blade someone in the Test team. Is Glenn Maxwell going to be the future of Test cricket in the future, or is he going to be a player that's concentrated on the white ball format? So that's where I would keep him. Chinappa?
Yep.
Any final comment from you?
Yeah, I mean, I watched Melbourne Stars, kind of turning around their game, and I thought they can go all the way to the finals, but they lost out in the knockout. But they had a pretty good season. I believe they could have done it, all the way. They could have gone up somehow. Just but the thing was, it was still too much reliance on Maxwell and Stoinis. I feel. And maybe their bowling, they need to strengthen their bowling wise. Their bowlers there are some good bowlers, but they're not like really strike bowlers who can when break is required, they can just turn around the things. That kind of bowlers they don't have. That's what they probably. But but this season they did better than the previous seasons. That's what I felt about Melbourne Stars.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And the good thing about the BBL is there was only one overseas player picked in the team of the tournament. That was Sam Billings, and I wouldn't have picked him. I would have picked Ben McDermott as the wicketkeeper. Austin DeCuna has just joined in quickly. Do you see India having 3 captains for 3 formats after Champions Trophy? Pant for Tests, Gill for One-Day International, Sky for T20s. Only 2 players average 35 plus with 150 strike rate in T20 cricket. One is ABD. Who is the other? Who is the other, Chinappa?
I think Virat Kohli. With the 150 plus strike rate. Okay, not.
150 strike rate. I'm thinking it's either Pant or Sky.
Plus average 35 plus. It could be Sky.
Could be
It could be Sky, but not Pant. Pant is not average, is 35 plus, I believe. Pant average is low. Yeah, Pant strike rate is good, but his average is not that good. But I think it could be Sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got to be averaging 35 plus as well. Right, Austin DeCuna. I'm going to have a look at that. That's a good question. It's made us think, and that's what I love about everyone who follows on here. Brilliant stuff. Thanks very much, Chinappa. And if you want to be like Chinappa and join me on Hog Out Live, well, you fill out the Google form that we've got behind here in the live chat box, and away we go. And we can have a little bit of fun on Hog Out. Thanks very much for joining me. Good luck to England and India. And Chinappa, I hope it doesn't get too cold over there in Atlanta where you are. Thanks very much for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Yep.
Thank you.
It was nice.
Everyone enjoy cricket. Thank you.